What's up everyone, my name is Nick, I am in Kuching, I love Kuching, this is my favorite city in all of Malaysia, so today I'm going on a stroll and you're coming with me, and I'm gonna tell you all about 20 fun and interesting facts about Kuching, the capital of Sarawak, that you did not know. For example, did you know that there might be a secret tunnel dug by the Japanese? Did you know that there used to be a unique building, the first building in Sarawak of sorts that was on a boat? And did you know who liberated Kuching during the Second World War? Well, we're gonna find out. This is Global Gibbon. Let's explore Kuching. Kuching was occupied by Japan during the Second World War. In 1941, the Japanese army came into Sarawak and occupied Kuching. They used Batul Lintang, which is an area here, as an internment camp to hold all the prisoners of war, all the Allied forces that they captured, and even civilians. Nowadays, there is a memorial there at Batul Lintang. The Aana was a wedding gift. Another very prominent building in Kuching, right behind me there, that's the Astana. That is the official residence of the governor of Sarawak. But did you know that it was originally built as a present for his wife? Whose wife? This was Charles Brook, who built the Astana as a wedding present for his wife, Margaret. The Great Fire of 1884 shaped modern Kuching. In 1884, there was a huge fire here in downtown Kuching, and it burnt down most of the wooden shop lots. Now, after that fire, it was time to rebuild, and they started using bricks, which laid the foundation to Kuching's new layout as we know it today. Charles Brook used to patrol Kuching in disguise. The second Raja of Sarawak, Charles Brook, used to be in disguise and explore Kuching to observe all the people living here and whether his policies actually worked. The Great Kuching Flood of 1963 was devastating. In January of 1963, there was a huge flood here in Kuching. Water rose up to over 2 meters, and that was very scary. So a lot of people were displaced from their homes, which again led to major urban planning changes. The Chinese History Museum was once a courthouse. This little but significant building behind me, you probably know it as the Chinese History Museum, but this building was originally built in 1912 and not as a museum, no, it was built as a courthouse. But there's already another courthouse. Well, this was the Chinese courthouse. So if there were any disputes between different Chinese families or businessmen, this is where they would go to court to sort out their issues. Kuching's first hospital was on a floating barge. Before the construction of proper facilities, the first Kuching hospital was somewhere here on a floating barge in 1870. So this hospital would treat the locals and travelers alike right here on a barge on the river. Kuching was liberated by Australians during World War II. Second World War, it's 1945. Who liberated Kuching? It was the Australians during Operation Obu 6. And it was a very significant moment in Sarawak's history because after that, times changed. Kuching was almost named Sarawak Town. We all know this city now as Kuching, but back in 1840 when James Brook first came here, he called this area Sarawak. Unfortunately, that name didn't stick as a name of the city because officially now the city is called Kuching and the state is called Sarawak. However, where did the name Kuching come from? There are so many stories about it and no one really knows. A secret Japanese tunnel may exist. It was rumored that during the Second World War, the Japanese built tunnels from that side of the river to this side. And it was rumored that they used those tunnels to transport supplies and other things. Where's this tunnel? The Brook family tried to establish an empire in Borneo. When James Brook first came to Sarawak, he envisioned a huge Brook empire that enveloped all of Borneo. Unfortunately, due to financial issues and political resistance, he only managed to expand his little empire to about the size of half of Sarawak that we know today. The square tower once had a darker purpose. I think we all know this building, right? You know this building. Yes, this is the Square Tower here on the Kuching waterfront. This building was built in 1879. Do you know why it was built? I don't think you actually know. What you might know is that there used to be big celebrations here by the Brook family and all their invited guests. There used to be a ballroom here. Now it's a restaurant, but before, do you know why it was built? It was originally a prison. The Brook Duckyard was a wartime hub. Just up the river, here up the Sarawak River, is the Brook Duckyard. It was built in 1912 and it played a huge role in building ships during the Second World War. Nowadays, the dockyard is still in operations and it is one of Malaysia's oldest dockyards still in use. India Street was once Kuching's business hub. Alright, so this is India Street. If you've been to Kuching, you have been to this street. Now it's a walking, pedestrian shopping lane where you can buy all different kinds of clothes and other things. But it was historically the main business district. This is where all the Indian traders used to sell their spices, their fabrics and other wares. Kuching's early economy was fueled by opium. In the 19th century, the British and the Brooks, they monopolized opium. Opium was legal, and these opium dens where people would smoke up the opium after a hard day's work, they were legal, but they were heavily taxed. So the local government, the Brooks and the British eventually, they made a lot of money off these drugs. The original Carpenter Street was for blacksmiths. Behind me, my favorite street in all of Kuching, in all of Sarawak perhaps, this is Carpenter Street. I love this street. Now, the name says Carpenter Street, so you would think that only carpenters were here back in the day, but that's not true. There were a lot of other craftsmen, like blacksmiths and other people doing trading here. So it wasn't only for carpenters. Now there's a few carpenters left, but not as many as before, and all the blacksmiths are not on this street, more on the side streets. The Pavilion Building was a medical school. Another very iconic building here in Kuching is the Pavilion. It is now a textile museum and it has been for many decades. But did you know that in the early 1900s, this was Sarawak's first medical school? Yes, and during the Second World War, I believe the Japanese who occupied Sarawak had their main headquarters here. Beautiful building. Kuching street signs once had 3 languages. Back in the day, during the Brook era, all these signboards of the streets used to be in 3 languages. That was English, Chinese, and in Jawi, the Malay scripture or writing. Nowadays, it's all in Bahasa Malaysia. St. Thomas's Cathedral was rebuilt after the war. Behind me, the amazing St. Thomas Cathedral. Do you know when it was built? A long time ago. Originally, this building was constructed in 1848. Yes, almost 200 years ago. Unfortunately, during the Second World War, it was badly damaged. So in the 1950s, they rebuilt this cathedral and it became as it is now. And did you know that there are beautiful glass-stained windows in this building all the way from England? The Sarawak Museum has an unexpected founder. Behind me in the distance, you can see the new Borneo Cultures Museum. But did you know that before that, we have a beautiful Sarawak Museum, which is right next to it there. And did you know that the original Sarawak Museum was founded by Charles Brook and also a very unique person, which was Alfred Russel Wallace. And do you know who Alfred Russel Wallace was? Well, he was the co-writer, together with Charles Darwin. He wrote The Theory of Evolution. Interesting. Alright, so this is the end of the video. I really enjoyed walking through Kuching as I do regularly. I love talking about Kuching's history and learning about interesting facts about Kuching. I just love this city, I guess. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this video as well. Maybe you've learned a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you knew any of these facts already and if perhaps you have another fun fact to share with me. Alright? Leave a like, leave a comment, and maybe share this video to your friends. Come on. Alright, we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.